Good evening, everybody, and Happy New Year. This is the January 12th, 2023 meeting of the St. Mary's County Board of Appeals, located in the Commissioners of St. Mary's County Meeting Room in the Chesapeake Building, 41770 Baldridge Street, Leonardtown, Maryland. I'm Chairman Dan Ikniowski, and with 4 other board members, having met the minimum requirement for a quorum, we will proceed with the meeting tonight. Residents at home may view the meeting on Channel 95 and YouTube. All case documents may be viewed on the county's Board Docs site. I will open the meeting for public testimony after the presentations and testimony by the applicant and their representatives have been completed. For in-person public testimony, you will be asked to state your name and address for the record, and I will swear you in. You will have 3 minutes to ask your questions or make your comments directly to the board. Your comments will be recorded and heard by those of us in the Chesapeake Building, on Channel 95, and on YouTube. After the public comment portion of the meeting is over, the case will return to the board for any closing comments or members' discussion and decision. And right now, I'd like to make a roll call so we know who's here tonight, beginning on my left.
Guy Bradley, good evening.
Good evening, Rich Richardson.
And again, I'm Dan Ikniowski, Chairman.
Lynn Delahaye.
Wayne Medinsky.
Also here tonight are our attorney, Mr. Steve Scott, and our alternate member, Mr. Ronald Payne, is in the back. Bill Hunt, the Director of Land Use and Growth Management, is here. Amanda Yao, the Zoning Administrator, is on my right. Stacy Clements is the Planner 3, and she will be going through the presentations tonight.
Yes, sir.
Jim Gotch, the Director of St. Mary's County Department of Public Works Transportation. And I think that, and Mr. Hauser is here. He snuck in on me. So John Hauser, the Assistant County Attorney, is here tonight. We have 4 public hearings on the agenda this evening. Prior to the hearing, the board would like to nominate and elect officers for the new year. And I will begin and take the motion or nominations for Board of Appeals Chair.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Ikniowski.
Second.
Any other nominations?
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Do we get to vote twice?
I didn't. And then for Vice Chair.
I'd like to nominate Guy Bradley.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And that has it. So we have the same chairman and a new vice chairman.
Thank you.
Our first case tonight is Okonevsky, VAAP 221484. The applicant is requesting a variance from the St. Mary's County Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance, Section 71.8.3, to disturb the critical area for an after-the-fact wood ramp, and from Section 32.1 for reduction of the necessary front and side yard setback for an after-the-fact shed. And then who will be representing the client?
Yes.
We want to go through the case first.
We
Okay.
can do that.
If the county staff would all please rise and raise your right hand. Thank you. Do you declare and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony, responses, and statements you may give will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Tonight's first public hearing is variance application 221484, the Okonowski's property. They are requesting variances from St. Mary's County Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance, Section 71.8.3, to disturb the critical area for an after-the-fact wood ramp, and from Schedule 32.1 for the reduction of the mandatory front and side setbacks for an after-the-fact shed. The legal advertisement was printed on December 23rd and December 30th, 2022, in the Southern Maryland News. Certified mailings were sent to the adjacent property owners located within 200 feet of the project property, and a public hearing sign was posted on the property on or before December 28th, 2022. The owners of the property are William and Deborah Okanowski. The property consists of 10,000 square feet and currently has an existing home with a shed. Okay, the applicant is requesting the after-fact variance to construct a walkway and a shed. The site plan is exempt from the stormwater management requirements since the site plan proposed less than 5,000 square feet of disturbance, and the Critical Area Commission responded to the applicant's request in their letter dated October 18th, 2022, noting that the walkway exceeds the maximum width allowed for riparian access under section 71.9.8J, which is 3 feet is allowed, and thus it requires a variance. Okay. The applicant has complied with the after-the-fact procedures laid out in COMAR 27.01.12.6 by attending court, preparing their mitigation, and implementing the mitigation for the violation. Okay, the property is located at 45834 Patuxent Lane in California. It is zoned residential medium density. The critical area overlay is limited development area with a buffer management overlay. And the applicant has placed a walkway located within the 100-foot critical area buffer and a shed located outside of the buffer. The applicant has constructed the walkway that exceeds the allowable width of 3 feet and developed in the critical area without a variance, and has constructed the shed that impacts the front and side yard setbacks. The required front yard setback is 25, and the applicant is requesting for a 10-foot front yard setback. The side yard setback requirement is 10, and the applicant is requesting a 3-foot side yard setback. The applicant has performed 1,520 square feet of mitigation, of buffer mitigation plantings as required by COMAR for the after-the-fact variances for the violations. The remaining mitigation will require a planning agreement and plan prior to the issuance of a building permit. Do we have any additional questions? Yes, Mr. Richardson.
Yes, I've got a question that's really a clarification.
Okay.
I understand that the front setback goes from 25 to 10, and the side goes from 10 to 1, and that includes that's for the shed. And the variations also for the walkway on the left-hand side, it appears by looking at the diagram and the letter from the neighbor that we also need a help with the setback on the side of the ramp.
Oh, for the accessory structure.
If you're facing the water, the edge of the ramp appears to be way inside the 10-foot setback.
I don't know either. I'm understanding what you're saying, and I am not.
I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
I'm understanding what you're saying. Mr. Hauser, do we have any clarification on that?
Oh,
I don't think so.
Do we want to wait for the applicant to present his case and ask them?
Ask him afterwards.
Or,
Pardon me, I was bringing up a map. As I understand, Ms.
I can do that.
The question is that, are we wondering whether the variance right now ought to be amended to request for variance to ratify the side, or the porch's potential encroachment into the setback area as well?
Okay, where?
Is that the question, Mr. Richardson?
Yes, if you're facing the water, the ramp on the left-hand side appears to be within the 10-foot side.
It would be
So I
right
think we
there.
need a variance for that also.
Can I just ask the board to reserve on this one? Let me look up and pull up the comprehensive zoning ordinance just to make sure that our instincts on this are correct. And then after probably the applicant's presentation, can we revisit this question then?
Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir.
Any other questions from the board members?
Yes, I have one.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Clements, did the letter from the Critical Area Commission get satisfied with the applicant's steps that you said for mitigation, the after-the-fact, in paragraph 2 of their letter, where it says, "The county will not issue a variance until applicant has fully paid all administrative, civil, yada, yada, yada." Did all that get satisfied?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
They would not be able to come before the board if they had not satisfied all the requirements to be heard tonight.
Thank you.
You're welcome. More questions?
I think is really a double check of Mr. Richardson's comment. The side yard setback, they're requesting goes from 10 to 3 feet.
That's what I understood.
Okay, 10 to 3 feet, not 10 to 1. Okay. Any other questions from the board members? Okay, who will be representing the applicant?
Yes, I will. Kevin Norris. They're going to speak for themselves.
If I could have Mr. and Mrs. Opniewski to raise their right hand. And if I can find that real quick. Do you declare and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony, responses, and statements you may give will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, please have a seat.
Before my client starts, I'd like to ask you a quick question about procedure to make it easier on you. He's here for 2 variance requests. One is the ramp and the buffer, the other one is outside the buffer. There's 2 different sets of standards for that. Do you want to do them a little bit separately? His presentation is meant to be able to stop it at the end of the shed, or at the walkway if you want, and open you up for discussion at that point? Or would you like him to go all the way through and then open both variances up?
Does the board have any preference? I would rather see one and then the second one.
Second one.
Okay.
Okay, so go ahead and stop at the end of the walkway.
Okay. All right. Mr. Chairman, board members, good evening. Thanks for taking the time to be here tonight to listen to our case. First purpose of our meeting is to request a variance for what I thought was the width, just the width of the limit of the walkway that's in excess of, that allows an access to the existing pier and the critical buffer area. Another one was for the setback of the shed. So we purchased our home in 2020. It's our retirement home, and we remodeled it with the idea of aging in place. When we first bought the property, we realized that we're going to have, and I missed an issue, 3 needs we'd have to take care of right away. One was danger trees that I worked with Mr. Bolton on to square away. The existing pier, getting to the existing pier was going to be a challenge because the current steps that were there were unsafe. And I'll show some pictures that will explain that a little bit later. And also, we needed storage space. There's not a basement to this house, and it's not that large a house, so we needed some storage space. I'm going to cover some high-level military background only because it has a bearing on why I requested and why we went with a ramp design. But I've got 27 years of active service. I was an enlisted man in the Army with boots on the ground as a dog handler. And then after I got out of college, in Vietnam, after I got out of college, I joined the Navy and became a naval flight officer and did the typical things you do, ship time, carrier time, and did Desert Storm. First call for Desert Shield and Desert Storm. I'm currently rated at 80% disability, and unfortunately for me, moving towards 100%. And another background item here is that the Critical Area Commission did not object to the variance request. There were some conditions that had to be met. And then finally, and it was already mentioned, we did the plant mitigation, was approved, executed, and verified by the county. Oh, by the way, feel free to ask me any questions as we move along. This is just a high-level VA benefit information slide from December 16th, so it's current. And then this just shows combined connected service disability of 80%. Next, Livering subdivision. You've already seen this one, but I just wanted to point out that these lots are narrow and long. Mine is depicted by the gold star that's there. These narrow lots present challenges that other landowners don't necessarily have to deal with. Zeroing in a little bit further, on the left of my home, which has the star, is my home, a home of my next door neighbor, Annie and Henry Wong. And to the right of me is Mr. Bob Bolton's property. Also, the graph to the right is a depiction taken from the county's GIS that shows how steep the embankment is that goes down from my backyard to the water. It's fairly steep, and it's a short distance between the top of the hill to the water. This picture shows at the top what the ramp looks like today. My home, upper right-hand corner of my home, you'll note another danger tree that I haven't had a chance to work with Mr. Bolton on to address, but it's leaning on my house as we speak today. Further on down, you'll see shrubbery, trees. Half of my front lot is parking. And you'll see a green space that, in a few more slides, you'll note that it's basically filled with a septic system. Quick property tour. Just to reiterate again, these were the danger trees I worked with Mr. Bob Bolton on. That there was a cherry tree getting ready to fall on our house, and the botanist told me I should have it removed before the next big storm comes along. So we worked together to do that. And Bob submitted the permit since the trees were on his property. And Debbie and I, to make it easier for Bob, we basically gave him $2,500 towards the cost of removal, cutting removal, and his own plant mitigation for those trees. This is a before and after picture, upper left-hand corner before, right-hand corner after. This picture, again, wants to reemphasize the narrowness of the lots themselves. On the left-hand side, you'll note a hurricane fence that depicts the approximation of the property line to the house. And then on the right-hand picture, you'll see that hedge is essentially on the boundary on the right-hand side between myself and the Wong family. Picture of the house on the left, looking from the water towards the house, and on the right, looking from the house out towards the water. The walkway. Again, just to note that the Critical Area Commission noted that there was not an objection to the variance. Okay, access to the pier. What we originally had, as I said, was steps on the left-hand side. Now, on the right-hand side of this chart, you'll note the new walkway, the new access to the piers via walkway, and added a shed. This is a picture, the best picture I could come up with of the original steps, but they were unsafe. They were slippery from years of moss. These were the original steps that were installed when the house was built in 2002. Doesn't have a handrail on the left side. The right side, the handrail was decrepit and was not stable, and it was rotted in various places. The walkway dimensions that we went with were wide enough for potential ambulatory devices that we anticipate I may have to use someday, things like wheelchairs, et cetera. So that's why you see the width of 42.5 and the handrails at 38. 36 is the maximum or the minimum required for ADA allowable walkways for ambulatory devices. And we made sure that the planking was 1/4 inch apart, so it's a pervious surface and not impervious. It's also designed from Trek. This slide shows that pretty much what you see with any construction site. It's not pretty while you're working on it, and because you're going to disturb something in the process. But, you know, with us, it was the end game in mind and making sure that we didn't do anything that was going to hurt, you know, the environment. We went with certain control measures, erosion control measures for both the construction of the walkway and also with the plant mitigation. For the construction of the walkway, we used the erosion mats throughout the entire process and around the entire area that was disturbed, you know, to ensure that we were able to stabilize the soil as it was being constructed. You'll note also that off to the right-hand side of this picture, that mat runs right out to the Mr. Bolton's property. We were very concerned that, you know, we didn't want to have any issues with his property and affecting the integrity of his slope. This is from the top, working our way down. You'll note that this one also, again, on the right-hand side, you'll see where the mat runs right up to Bob's property. And this also shows that the pier, the last part of the walkway is approximately, runs 30 feet over top of the pier. And it's not anywhere near as wide as the pier. The pier is 6 feet wide, a little bit more than 6 feet wide. This is 42.5 inches wide. Also, you'll note in the upper left-hand corner again, by the walkway, that the blanket goes all the way down to the riprap and over to Bob's property. We tried to minimize disturbance of vegetation as we built it, and you'll note on the right-hand side, very little disturbance, and in fact, you'll see that that's all natural growth that's come back. On the left-hand side, again, this blanket goes all the way up underneath of the walkway, up to Bob's property and out to the riprap. Again, this is all soil stabilization work that we thought needed to be done during this entire construction process. Now, we also, it had already been mentioned that we did the planting, the mitigation planting, 1,520 square feet of buffer planting has been accomplished with an additional, counting the shed and the walkway, 700 square feet of buffer that'll be done if the variances are granted. During the process of the plant mitigation now, the soil is going to be disturbed again. So this time we used the silt fence protection system that you'll note runs down along the left side of my property. It goes down the riprap and all the way across the front of my property. Again, up against Bob's property to make sure that there was no overflow or impact to his lot. This is a different view showing again, you'll see the silt fence protection that starts at the top of the hill, goes down the hill and makes left-hand turn against the riprap, up against Bob's property again. This shows the whole thing in its entirety, its completion, upper left-hand corner Google imagery, and then the ramp as it starts at the top with the upper right-hand corner, the lower left-hand corner slide shows not only how the turnaround. It's not a deck. It's a turnaround for potential wheelchair. And you'll also note in the distance there the slope of that hill. It is very steep, and then out to the water. Right-hand side it shows this past summer, before the plant mitigations were done in December, that the vegetation was coming back in a nice fashion, and that the soil was stabilized during that entire process. The shed. I'm sorry. Hold on. That concludes my portion, my portion of the walkway brief. I'm standing by for any questions.
Board members have any questions?
Did we get an answer yet or not?
Mr. Hauser?
This one.
I think where, after having a chance to look through the site plan, I think the trouble, if I had to hazard a guess why this is coming up now and not earlier, the site plan issued did not show the distance between the walkway and the property line. Going on the county's GIS map, and I will defer to Ms. Clements on the facts and Mr. Scott on the legal merits of what I'm about to say. On the county's GIS map, it's not immediately apparent if it's within the 10 feet setback or not. It is an extremely close call. The only resolution to this question I can think to offer tonight is to go ahead. We have fairly in front of the Board of Appeals right now the question of a setback for the shed and the question of a variance for the walkway ramp itself. The only way I can think to solve this one is to send an inspector out, determine if the walkway is actually 10 feet away from the boundary line or not, if they can in fact figure out if the boundary line is there. If we determine that it's within the 10 feet, looking at the notice, the only setback required specifically said for a shed. I do not see tonight where we could go forward on a variance request for a setback for the ramp. If we determine it is within the 10 feet, and we would have to, I think we would have to just request another variance and go through a very limited presentation for that issue alone in the future, if it's determined that is in fact implicated here.
Comments, questions, concerns?
I'm okay.
My only concern is to, and I asked Mr. Hunt, is our staff, is the planning and zoning staff qualified to determine where that property line is?
So if the property line, I'm going to have to defer to the applicants and their counsel, I think, on whether or not there is a survey or how current that survey might be. I would hazard the guess from the department is that we do not have any authority as the county to go out there and determine where the property line is if that's a matter of dispute.
At this point, the applicant does not have a current survey showing the exact location of these improvements.
Do you have a good guess? I mean, do you have some idea how far you are?
Not really. I mean, it's probably close.
What we tried to do, we were limited, because of the width of the front of the property. If I'm going to build the ramp, I'm going to try to minimize the slope as much as I can. So what we did was we took basically the boundary of the house itself, looked at the house and said, don't go beyond the edge of the house towards the other people's property line. So that's what we ended up doing. So whatever the distance is between the shed, or between the walkway and the property line, it's the same distance from the house as it is to the property line. I'm not sure what that distance would be. It's probably between 5 to 7 feet is my guess, but I haven't measured it. I'm not sure exactly where the property line is there.
And Stacy, the setback for the walkway from the property line would be 10 feet?
If it's deemed an accessory structure, yes.
I'm sorry.
If it's, yes.
If I may, from the applicant's presentation, it appeared to me that there was a fence on the property. Does that, a question to the applicants, how far does the fence extend towards the water line?
You mean, how far does it go towards the water line?
Yes, sir.
It stops on the hill. So probably a good 20 feet from the top of that fence down to the water.
Close.
My thoughts.
I think I might have a picture that might show that.
My thoughts are probably that the fence is the best landmark we would have to measure the property line from. And the inspector, when the inspector goes out there, would just have to, whatever the difference between the length of that fence is towards wherever the parallel with the ramp would be, they just have to measure their distance based off that.
And then I think if we determine, we make a determination that if it's 8 to 12 feet, we're okay. And we're not going to do the survey. Or we require the applicant to do the survey. If it's 10 feet or more, I think, then we're okay. And that's a condition we put on approval if we so desire to approve the ramp.
Even though this variance wasn't applied for and we don't know that we need it, can we go ahead with this anyway?
I think the county attorney's office correctly pointed out an issue with that, and that is the one of notice. And in fairness to the public and to others that may be interested in this application, if that particular issue was not included in the county's notice, then I'd be concerned that we didn't properly proceed with that component of this particular situation. And of course, it was not a component of the application either. So I really don't think we can grant it even conditionally tonight.
I think we need to know where the property line actually lies. I hate to send them back to go look at this again, but it's a piece of information that if we don't have, it's going to come back and bite somebody in the backside.
And it's really not going to bite us.
Right.
Personally, it's going to hurt
It's going to
the
be more, yeah.
and anybody that's may not want this would have a good case.
Yeah, so I think we need to ask you find folks to go double-check that property line and see how far off that ramp is. That's my 2 cents.
All right, would you have to submit another variance along with, how would you do this?
Maybe adjust this one? Got to be.
I think the fact that they went ahead and did it without a permit, that we really need to go back and get a survey for the walkway. Maybe we can just address the shed tonight. I mean,
Can we address
everyone
just the
else.
shed tonight?
Yes, the shed is properly before the board tonight, yes.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, so then, do we need a motion to table the request?
So I think procedurally, it's really up to the applicant if they want to move forward or not move forward based on this discussion, and whether or not, they want to ask for a continuance. If we continue, Ms. Clements, 60 days or less, we don't have to re-advertise?
Correct.
But would you have to re-advertise for the?
We'd have to re-advertise for the walkway anyway, I'm sorry, yes.
Okay.
Short-term memory issues.
If that is necessary, suppose they.
If it's necessary,
and
yes.
find out it's not
Yes,
necessary,
yes.
then we're good to go.
Before we go on that, I've got a question on the shed. Have you seen the pictures from your neighbors about the shed?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Have you seen the latest pictures that I've published?
Yeah.
It has a gutter on it and a downspout.
I don't know how they measure the footprint of the shed or the roof, but clearly the roof extends over your neighbor's property. Would you consider moving your shed at all?
Yes, sir.
On both the front and the side?
Well, let's go through their
Yeah.
presentation, and I think
Okay.
they've got some septic system concerns that they want to bring up during their presentation.
So should we dispose of or make sure that we have closure on the first part of this case, or is the applicant going to ask for a continuance?
Yeah, can I just talk to them for a minute?
Sure. Take a 5-minute recess.
Recess?
Yeah.
5 break?
I'd like to call the meeting back to order and turn it over to Mr. Norris.
Yeah, if it would please the board, I think it would be beneficial for my client to go through the presentation on the shed, can answer some of your questions, you can have a discussion, and then at that point, based upon your feedback, we would consider continuation and coming in with a survey that precisely shows what's needed, as well as, if necessary, amending the application to bring in the variance for side yard setbacks on the ramp.
Anybody have any objections to that?
No.
We really need your feedback,
Okay.
especially on the shed.
Okay, let's go ahead forward with the,
I have a couple questions for this
oh,
walkway.
excuse me.
Move on.
Before we move on, if you could go back to that picture of the finish, or you, I guess you, whoever, that's the one. So if you look at this picture on the right-hand side, the bottom left right-hand side, did you have a permit to put up that retaining wall?
Retaining wall?
Retaining wall?
In the stone revetment?
No.
No, go above, see the stone embankment, then you see the vegetation, and then you see some wood.
Right here.
If you look at also on the left-hand picture,
That must be it here.
that wall that you
There
painted
you go.
white,
Right.
it holds the yard.
See the cursor?
Oh, right here?
So do you have a permit for that retaining wall?
No,
No.
no,
That was part of the walkway.
yeah.
So you have.
It was all a part of the walkway. It was installed
that-
when the walkway
that-
was put
It's
in.
not a railing there, that's a wall that's holding the soil.
You have a picture?
Lower left-hand picture. See the,
Yeah, you don't have another picture that shows where the dirt is, where the soil is?
You mean, on the other side of the retaining wall?
Yep.
Go to
Hold on a second. Right there.
see right there, look,
Okay. Again, I'd have to defer to the county. Nobody's ever questioned the retaining wall or the fact of it. It's all to do with the width. And at this point, other than the excess width of the walkway, all other mitigation has been taken care of and satisfied. So if you're questioning whether or not they can have a retaining wall, I'd have to defer to, again, to the county and Mr. Hauser.
Got any other questions? I mean, I have a follow-up question to that, is if this followed the process properly, the plan would come in showing the location of the wall and give a nod up or down. If it was approved, wouldn't there be plans that would have to be approved for a building permit with all of the structure that's involved in this?
The site plan is what we received from the applicant.
And then what about meeting the building code?
Pardon?
What about meeting the building
The
code?
building code, it would have had to go through inspections through the building code additionally,
As it's being
but
built?
that would be after the permit is issued.
Okay. And none of that's been done either?
Correct. And that can't be done until after the variance is approved.
So we could run into another problem where the variance is approved and yet what's been built doesn't meet the building code.
Correct. That is a possibility.
That might address your retaining wall.
Right,
it doesn't meet it.
and that would be part of it.
That would be part of it.
Right.
That would be
Have a
part of
building-
the,
Definitely.
that would be part of the inspection after the variance.
Did you have a contractor that built this structure, or?
Yes. Buddy Gibson. Buddy Gibson.
Buddy Gibson?
Should know better.
I don't think we can adjust this tonight, so
No, I don't either.
I think you need a survey and get a building permit.
I agree.
So you want to move on to the shed?
Let's move on to the shed.
Okay.
Do we make a motion to table this now and then move on to the shed?
I think Mr. Norris,
Do the shed first.
Yeah.
And see if there's
Okay.
any more comments, then we'll make a motion, and we can split the
Yeah.
motion at that time, I think.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, shed, we've seen the plan on the left and where the shed's located. And on the right is a shed with a recently installed gutter and downspout with the water exiting over onto our property. Also, I'd like to point out that this variance was requested by myself. I wasn't cited by the county. I realized after the permit process and the challenges we were having, and my lack of knowledge regarding critical area. I've never owned property in a critical area, so it's been a learning curve for us. But I thought the right thing to do would be to just say, hey, I built this shed, I'm going to come clean, and let's get this squared away. So that's the reason we're here talking about this shed. It wasn't something that I was cited for.
So you say you're willing to move the shed?
Yes, sir. There aren't that many places we can move it, but we can, when I show you the rest of the brief, I think we can give you a better picture what possibilities we have.
That's a pretty telling picture right there.
Oh, yes, sir. It can definitely be moved away from the property line. There's no problem with that. It's just the distance that we would be able to go. This slide I'm showing you right now, the drawing to the left was on the permit 50-92, and it was approved in 2002. On the right-hand side is the actual depiction on the property with paint of where these different elements of the septic system are located. I had a man named Joe Gonzalez, who's been doing this work for 30 years and serviced this property with the previous owner, who was able to locate exactly where the septic tank was, the septic line, distribution box, and the drain field, which I've painted. Okay, on the left again, what I wanted to show you on the right-hand picture is basically what the septic system looks like from an aerial shot, and the limited amount of space or opportunity of placement for the shed, which is in the lower right-hand corner. I have a driveway. I have mature trees and shrubs, 3 different locations for those. You have the septic system in the middle. There's not much of a place that I could move it, except away from the property line would be about the only place. Either that, or I just have to sell it to somebody else and move it off the property. Another reason for the limited amount of space I can move it away from the side property line is the view to the house. If it goes out too far, it's going to be in front of the house, and it'll definitely take away from the appearance of the home and probably property value and neighborhood value, so I wouldn't want to do that. So, but could it be moved another couple feet? Probably could, without an impact to my neighbor's line and view of the house. This is, sheds are, we all have the same challenge in that neighborhood, it looks like, because this is a common scheme they see throughout the neighborhood. The top is an aerial shot of the sheds of my neighbors. Mine is the one that has a little gold sun, and to the right of mine is my neighbor's, Bob Bolton's, which is looks to me to be pretty close to the setback, inside the setback. But there's others on the block. The lower pictures show a ground view of what they look like. On the left, going down the street from my shed and property, and also on the right, the one right next to mine would be Bob's, Bolton's, and then the neighbor next to him. So it's a common scheme in the neighborhood. Everybody has the same challenge with lots, et cetera. So that pretty much concludes my portion of the brief on the shed. Are there any questions?
I have one. Do you have electricity in your shed
No, ma'am.
and water?
It's just sitting on a gravel bed
It's
or rock. I don't know what the material's called, but it's some kind of little.
It's
kind of
not
gray
on-
rock.
It's not on a pad or anything? It's just
No.
on pillars?
It's not. It's just on the. It's just the shed just sitting on the ground with the, I guess,
Yeah, it's sitting on a
runners or skids or whatever you call them underneath of it, rafters.
cinder block material, like 4 inches thick.
There's none of that. It's what I did was just flatten the area out that was there to make it level, put this, raised stone down on top of it, compacted that as much as I could, it's very compact, and then put the shed on top of it. So there's no permanent structures, there's no pilings of any sort. It's just a very hard type of dirt and stone.
Okay, thank you.
I don't have any trouble with the distance to the road, because you can see by that photo that all of them are, and I'm familiar with the neighborhood, and it's tight down there.
Yes, sir.
I'm very aware of that. But like Mr. Richardson said, I don't like it being right on the neighbor's property line either. But you got limited space, I don't know, maybe 5 feet or something.
It wasn't.
It's a little bit of trouble. But
Yes, sir. It wasn't intentional to have it that close. When the Amish guys came in and they unloaded it, I mean, it was a challenge for those guys to get it right. I didn't realize it was that close until it had already gone. But I would have done something about it if I'd known it was an issue.
Any other questions of the board before opening up the public testimony?
So, yeah, I would like a little feedback, if we could, as to if he's able to move the shed, but kind of get a feeling for you maybe how much.
Well, I think we ought to hear public testimony first before we go to that
Then
decision.
let us know. Okay, and again, we're willing to do a continuance, and fix all this and make it all right at one time.
Okay. So you want to go finish and go through the public testimony portion?
I think so. We done?
Okay. In that case, I'll open it up to public testimony. I have a list here of those who have signed in, and if you would like, we can start with that. It looks like a Shaporis. Cesar Shaporis. Do you wish to speak? Okay, thank you. Does anybody else want to speak on this matter, either for or against it? Nobody wants to speak to the matter? In that case, I'll close public testimony and open it up for board discussion.
I would like to see a survey done before we talk about moving the shed or what, to see where the boundaries are. I mean, it sounds like the applicant doesn't really know where the boundary lines are there either, or surprised by that. That's what I think we need, the survey.
I don't know that I would disagree with that, because we have received, we have received two letters from Mr. Norris, indicating that the standards for both the critical area variance and the side yard variance and front yard variances have been addressed and met. And I think we've all had a chance to take a look at that. I don't know that I quite have any objections to that, but of what we've seen tonight. That being said, I kind of agree with you that the survey may be needed, because even looking at what was received from the adjacent property owner as to where there was a stake, which I take it was the property line, a fence, and then the back of the shed, and they all looked relatively close. And I think we probably, again, ought to know where that is to make sure that there's no problems there, that we're protecting not only the adjacent property owner, but the rights of the property owner. So I think that's what we're going to be looking for is a survey. And I think the same holds true for the pier, the walkway, is to make sure that that is a 10-foot offset.
I thought you were going to have.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the shed if they're willing to move it a little bit. So the shed part, I think, is easy. The walkway, lesson learned, you gotta have permits to do almost anything in this county. So whoever built the walkway for you, did you know no service by not letting you know that?
I think we're going to make a ruling on the variance for the walkway within the critical area,
Okay,
and he will get a permit. Then he will be under the review of land use and growth management and the building permit portion of the office to make sure that it meets building code. And they'll go through that process separately, and that's their risk, not ours. If it's determined that it is not built correctly, and they got to remove it or tear it down or support it more, they'll work that out. I don't think that's our call right here.
I don't think so. I don't think that is either. I would like to know, I agree with Lynn, I'd like to know where the property line lies.
I would too. I would too.
So if they got, to get a survey or
Digital survey.
Yeah,
I don't know how long that'll take.
we can take care of it. We can take care of a survey.
Then would we want to make this a continuance until the February meeting?
Did you want to rule on the walkway
If we rule on the walkway,
as to width so you can get a permit?
well, the permit's going to come after the variance approval. If we rule on the variance for the walkway, which is the request before us, and it sounds to me like it may not be approved, that cuts it for the walkway and it's got to go. Am I correct in that?
I mean, if you're not willing to vote on the variance of the width of the walkway, I definitely understand the location of it.
I think one goes with the other. I mean,
Okay, that's fine, we can do it all at once.
yes.
That's your preference, it's not going to harm anything.
Is that the board's preference?
I agree, we need to get a survey, but you also asked for some feedback, and I go back to the shed. The rule is 25 for the front and 10 for the side. If you cut that in half, it'd be 12 for the front and 5 for the side. That's what I would recommend.
12 for the front, it would be extremely difficult. They're going to be in the
Septic system.
septic drain fields.
What I might
Currently,
do-
it's about, when I was out there, I just kind of walked, it's about 8 to 10 feet from the edge of pavement.
If you have a surveyor that's going to be out there, it may not hurt to have him,
That's me.
it may not hurt to have those, a couple of the other lots on the property, in the subdivision shown where the edge is for other,
I can locate other people and show you, if that's what you'd like, the aerial view.
yeah,
I can show you where other people lie
I
to.
think that would be great.
I think,
It doesn't guarantee that you will get a variance for that, but it may help.
Counsel.
also, I just wanted to add that it may be in the applicant's best interest as well to, in order to get a complete critical area variance to deal with this retaining wall issue as well, and look at that and determine whether or not the application should be amended to include that. I think that's a good point.
Okay?
I mean, I think with the several different little nuances to this case, probably be better if you asked for continuance and came back with all your Ts crossed and Is dotted. I think that's where we are right now.
It's fair enough.
Back to the question of the next meeting, which I think is February 9th?
Correct.
February 9th.
Can you get all that done?
Would that give us enough time to advertise?
If we have confirmation by tonight, we can get it on the legal ad for the February 9th hearing
Next week,
tomorrow, so that it
But-
would run next week, and then...
Would we need if they're going to amend their application, would we need the amended application first?
Yes, we would. So we would need an amended application tomorrow morning or by close of business Monday at the latest. And then the posting would be by January 25th, I believe is the date, for mailing and posting. But we can get the legal ad in time if we had it by close of business Monday.
Yeah, it's going to have to be Monday. You can't do anything
Monday's
tomorrow
holiday.
because you're.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. Monday is a holiday, so close of business tomorrow would be ideal, just because the paper may need an extra
You're not
day.
going to know the specificity of the,
Have three.
Is there,
cases.
may I just ask one question? Like,
It's like
what's the urgency now?
Yeah.
I mean, it could,
I mean, you've done it, so let's get
March?
all the get it done and come back
We have plenty of time if we came back in
with
March.
all the answers.
In March?
March?
I think that would be comfortable for everybody.
It would be March 9th as well, I believe.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Want to make a motion?
So we're going to make a motion to continue the meeting to March 9th.
Sure.
And allow the applicant to get enough information to answer the questions from the board.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to see the applicant request that continuance on the record just before we make a motion.
Okay.
Yes, on behalf of the applicant, I would like to ask for continuance to March 9th. At such time, we could fully amend the application and provide you a survey.
Okay. Is there a motion from the board members?
I'd like to make a motion to have a continuance for VAAP 22-1484. So with the amendment to the application for the seawall, for the retaining wall, I just read seawall in there, the retaining wall and the shed, and to have a survey done.
And the date, did you mention the date?
And a continuance to March the 9th, 2023.
I second it.
Any discussion on the matter? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion carries. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and the board.
The next item on the agenda tonight, Case 2, is Breton Bay Landing Homeowners Association, VAAP 22-1666. The applicant is requesting a variance from the St. Mary's County Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance, Section 71.8.3, to disturb the critical area for a retaining wall and other devices. So with that, I would remind the staff that they're still under oath, if they would proceed with the presentation.
Thank you, Chairman. Okay. The second public hearing tonight is variance application 22-1666, the Breton Bay Landings Homeowners Association. They are requesting a variance from section 71.8.3 to disturb the critical area buffer for a retaining wall. The legal advertisement was printed on December 23rd and 30th, 2022, in the Southern Maryland News. Certified mailings were sent to adjacent property owners located within 200 feet of the project property, and public hearing signs were posted on the property on and before December 28th, 2022. The owner of the property is Breton Bay Landings Homeowners Association. The property consists of 3.29 acres and is currently used as the required open space for the subdivision. The applicant is proposing to construct a 100 linear foot retaining wall with a 20 by 20 foot rain garden. The site plan is exempt from stormwater management requirements since the plan proposes less than 5,000 square feet of disturbance. The Critical Area Commission has responded to the applicant's request in their letter dated September 19th, 2022. They are recommending stormwater management practices be used, which the applicant has redesigned and implemented in their plan. The Critical Area Commission is additionally requiring mitigation. The property is located adjacent to the Breton View Drive in Leonardtown. It is zoned residential neighborhood conservation. The critical area overlay is limited development area. The applicant is proposing to construct a 100 linear foot retaining wall with downspouts leading to the existing townhomes to a proposed 20 by 20 rain garden. This view depicts the townhouse property lines in relationship to the retaining wall. The applicant is proposing a 20% slope in the first 10 feet from the townhomes to the proposed 5-foot tall retaining wall. The section highlighted in blue will then tie into the existing ground. Critical area mitigation will be required at the ratio of 3-to-1 for the permanent disturbance and 1-to-1 mitigation for the temporary disturbance. And then 3-to-1 mitigation for canopy removal inside the buffer and 1-to-1 mitigation for canopy removal outside of the buffer. So the applicant will be required to provide 5,000 square feet of mitigation for the proposed project. A buffer management plan will be approved by staff prior to the issuance of a building permit. Do we have any questions?
Any questions from the board members?
The Critical Area Commission didn't have anything to say? No letter?
The Critical Area Commission, let's see. Okay. Recommended implementing stormwater management devices in the first review of the application. The applicant then took the advice of the Critical Area Commission and it implemented that 20 by 20 foot rain garden into their site design.
So there's no letter from them on board docs, so.
There should be. I will double check that.
Missing it.
I will double check that for you.
Any other comments from the board members? And then who will be representing the applicant tonight?
Attachment 4, yeah, it's not up here. It's not here.
Okay, would you please raise your right hand and follow through? Do you declare and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony, responses, and statements you may give will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth? I do. Okay, and would you state your names and address for the record?
Lori Jameson, 21832 Riviera Court, Leonardtown, Maryland.
Francis Stabler, 21825 Hazeltine Court, Leonardtown, Maryland.
Okay, have a seat.
Okay. Oh, did I touch it? I'm sorry, there we go, miss. Well, I'm going to have to advance it for you since this is in a PDF format.
Okay.
Ready? I'm ready whenever you are.
Okay. Good evening. Thanks for hearing our case tonight in reference to our variance. We are members of the Brenton Bay Homeowners Association in the Landings area. This neighborhood was built in the 1990-1991 timeframe. We have 64 houses and 34 townhouses in our neighborhood. Next. This is an aerial view of the location of the waterway that we're talking about, the Cherry Cove waterway. As you see, going into the waterway, the area that we're talking about, the construction, is where that little blue house is there. To the left, that waterway at the Y goes to the Rosebank neighborhood area, and then the waterway, as you zoom into the next slide, you can see as we zoom in, the water to the right goes behind our townhouses in our neighborhood, and it kind of ends, the water ends. It's very shallow at the end there with a lot of natural seagrass or watergrass, whatever you call the tall grasses that live there. Next slide. Bottom line up front, we have a serious erosion problem at the end cluster of the townhomes. The water just constantly runs like whitewater rafting when we have big storms. 2 summers ago, when we had the 50 to 60 inches of rain, is when the problem really started to get worse. You can see the end town unit in the left-hand picture. You can see the erosion problem happening around the foundation of the porch, and that's on the water side of that unit. It's about a foot drop. You can't really tell tell in this picture, from the top of that patio there down the hill, and it kind of goes, you'll see more pictures going forward. And notice the black, the drainage systems that we're kind of using right now just to run the water away, just to kind of Band-Aid fix the problem right now. Next slide. This slide Ms. Clemens showed previously. This is a top-level review of our proposal. We have to remove a couple trees. We would like to build the retaining wall, install some drainage pipes, and install a rain garden. Next slide.
Can we go back to that other slide?
Yes, sir.
The rain garden is the green area.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And I'll show a better picture of that location of where that rain garden will go. The tree removal, you'll see this is the side of the townhome looking out into Cherry Cove, but you'll see these trees run along the side of the townhouse. But tree number 1 is getting ready to fall. You can see it leaning towards the townhouse, so that needs to be taken down. Tree number 2, you can't see it very well in this picture, but the limbs are growing into the roof of the townhome, so that tree is going to need to come down. Tree number 3 is dead. It's not dying anymore, it is dead. And then tree number 4 is also back there on the corner. It is kind of growing into the roof as well. So we would like to, part of our proposal is to take down these 4 trees. We will cut the tree. We will leave the roots and the stumps there to help avoid any future erosion going down in that area. Next slide. The retaining wall we're proposing will run, it's a total of 100 feet, but it'll run alongside of the townhome, and then at the corner in the townhouse, it'll kind of shift left there for behind the townhomes. It's kind of a curved area there that you can see better in the other pictures, but the wall will be 6 foot tall. The top of that wall will be at the same level of the foundation of the home, which you can see we would like to backfill in the dirt and then plant some grass seed and cover with hay in that area. This is we would like to install the drain system just for future water where it's going to go and try to, avoid this problem continuing to happen. There's currently 3 drain pipes running off of the side of this townhome, and the water just runs straight down into Cherry Cove. There's 4 drain pipes across the back of that cluster of townhomes, and they just kind of run to the back of the property. Before we put the black tubing on, the water was just running down the hill like whitewater rafting all the way down that slope that you see there. Next slide. The advice we got earlier as we were going through this process is water management. So we were advised to build a rain garden. The left-hand picture is an example of rain garden. I'm sure you're familiar with them. The big dirt spots you see there on the right is on the homeowners associations. That is our common land right there. And right now it's just a big dirt space behind the last 2 units in that cluster closest to the water side there. So we're proposing a 20 by 20 foot rain garden, plant daylilies, the grasses to suck up that water when the water drains to that area. There's no additional clearing that we will need to do. It's just kind of filling in that ugly dirt spot with a nicer looking rain garden and helping our cause with where the water goes down at that section of the neighborhood. Next slide. These were some of the specific standards for the granting variances. This was not, the top one there was not any circumstances that any of us did. This is just kind of Mother Nature and the, I guess, original builder that built this property didn't build in proper drain water management systems, but that was years ago before we had stricter rules that we have today. We feel that our solution will reduce the runoff water, the storm water into Cherry Cove, so we think that's a good thing. Next slide. Our corrective action plan, I mentioned, is to reduce runoff, additional erosion, and structural damage to those end townhouses that you're starting to see happen in the one picture that I showed with the foundation. This is a picture of that looking up the end of the cove there. You can see some of the grasses that grow in that area because it's very shallow at that end of the cove. That's all I have for the presentation.
Any questions from the board members?
Yes, one question. As you probably know, I'm very familiar with the problem.
Yes, sir.
There's clearly a problem with erosion. But the question is the water that's causing the problem coming from the creek, coming down after a storm, or is it coming from the bay when you have a storm out in the bay?
The erosion, the closest to the townhouse that I showed in some of those pictures is from the storm water that is just running down from the other units down that hill, and it's ending at that end unit.
Okay. Going back to the corner one, the corner townhouse, where the biggest problem is, do you think that's coming from down from the creek or up the bay?
I think it's for when it's rained.
I don't really understand your question, sir, but
I know it's a hard question, sir.
yeah, there's no wave action, if that's what you're referring to. I mean, a storm from the creek or a storm from the bay, it's rainwater.
Okay.
It's coming from the roofs of the townhouses.
Okay.
Are they
Thank you.
gutted? Are they gutters?
They're guttered, yes, ma'am.
Are gutted?
They're guttered. But one of the issues is the gutter ended right at the edge of the townhouse. All 5 units there.
Right.
So the water had, point of least resistance, path of least resistance, and it went down that slope. And much the same as the previous applicant, that slope is very steep. And it just continues to erode, so.
So in that slide, I don't know what number it is, 9 maybe? If I put my glasses, I might be able to see it better. Yeah, number 9. You see where you have those black drainage systems going on?
Yes, ma'am.
Going to address that when you,
Those, the drainage system that we're planning, those will be buried. It's been, these have only been out there about a year now, while we've been working through this process of,
so they're connected to the gutters, the downspout, and
they'll be buried underground
connected
to the rain garden, yes.
Thanks. So, that same picture, on the right-hand side, you see the gas tank and the air conditioner?
Yes, ma'am.
And that little gully? Are those the trees that are coming down?
No, the trees were to the right. You can't really see them very well in this picture. I think that 4th tree, number 4, you can see there on the corner. It's kind of leaning out like it's going to fall into the water. That was tree number 4.
Okay.
But you can see the erosion area on this side of the house or the townhouse that if we don't do something soon, that HVAC and the gas tanks are going to be at risk of starting to roll.
Creek.
Thank you.
I see with the critical area, recommend a 3-to-1 mitigation.
Yes, sir.
Now, you're going to be able to do that on the property?
You mean plant 3 trees for every one? Well, I think, I'm not positive of the rules, but we own 3.29 acres. Can we plant them anywhere on that property? It doesn't have to be right where we remove those trees. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yes.
Yeah, it can't be where we remove the trees because the wall is going to be there.
Right. Yes, we have
Yes, we have plenty of area. Plenty
to
of
plant
space.
trees.
There may be a limitation that some or all of that should be in the 100-foot buffer, so that may limit some of the areas where you can plant on the property, but you don't have to plant right there.
Right.
Do we need to have a plan, or?
There is a plan in place, and they'll have to complete a planting agreement and do a buffer management plan once this variance is approved.
Okay.
What do you plan on building this retaining wall of? What material?
What the material? Well, I have it in here.
Stone.
Yes. Is that the block? Or you want the stone one?
I want the picture.
Sorry, we have lots of papers.
8 by 18 by 12 blocks.
Oh.
And
And
if I may.
Oh, yeah.
I'm good, I see. I know what that is.
I figured you did.
Thank you.
There's a copy of that we can have.
Do we need to keep that, or?
I think that was
There's a
in one
copy of
of
it in
our
staff report.
presentations.
I think it's,
Oh, okay, thank you.
Any other questions from the board members?
we have it in here.
Okay.
Just, will the,
Staff would be, are there any construction plans that are needed? Or that, again, will be handled? Inspection.
For this particular project, I believe due to the size, there's no requirement for an engineered plan. I think they've met all the application requirements for this particular project based on the size.
Thank you.
is this retaining wall going to stay on each homeowner's property, or is it outside into the HOA area?
The property that the wall will be built on, it belongs to the homeowners association.
Okay.
The townhouse owners only own 8 feet off of their foundational, the 8 feet right off the side, and then we own, the homeowners association owns that other land.
Just want to make sure a homeowner doesn't have to come back and ask for a variance for something y'all are doing. Okay.
That's what I was asking what it was made of. I thought, if it's wood, we'll be back here again.
Yeah, exactly.
Ma'am.
We like you, but we don't want to see y'all again.
Mr. Bradley, your question pertaining to the Critical Area Commission letter, it's located on page 23 of the staff report.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions from the board members?
Just one thing, for the record, I understand that the cost will be maintained from the townhouses and the single-family homes.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions? In that case, I will open it up to public testimony. If there's anybody that wishes to speak for or oppose the project, please come forward now. And again, I have a list of those that have signed in. And the first one I have is Lori.
Oh, that's me, sir.
Okay, well, we heard from you. And the other of those that have signed in have indicated, no, they do not wish to speak. So I'll put that list aside, and again, ask if anybody in the audience would like to speak for or against the project. Be glad to hear from you now. Come on up to the microphone. For the record, would you state your name and address?
My name is Amy Hayes. It's 21737 Pinehurst Court in Leonardtown, Maryland.
And then if you would please raise your right hand. You declare and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony, responses, and statements you may give will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please go forward.
I think that this project, that the HOA, I'm on the HOA board, and I think that when they brought it forward, that it's been a long time in a process, and I want to give everybody credit and thank everyone for helping with this project. And it's the right thing to do for the community to help prevent any further erosion and to protect the cove. That's why we're doing it. And it's, as far as the people had questions with the board about it being a townhouse fee and the single family, it's community property for the HOA, so that's why it's joint. That's all I have to say.
Any questions of the applicant?
No.
Thank you very much. Anybody else like to speak for or against the project? In that case, I'll close the meeting to public testimony and open it up to board discussion. Any discussion from the board members?
I don't see any problem with this. It looks like it's needed. but everybody here knows we don't have 100-year storms. We have 500-year storms now, so anything we can do to stop erosion is a good thing.
Yeah.
No, I think it's the right thing to do. I personally have personal knowledge of it, and as long as it's covered by the cost is covered by the homes and the townhouses, I'm very happy with it.
Yep. And I am in agreement with that. I think it's a very good project, well worthwhile. Does somebody want to make a motion then?
I'll do it.
Okay.
In the matter of VAAP 22-1666, having made a finding that the standards for granting a critical area variance and the objectives of Section 24.4 of the St. Mary's County Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance have been met, I move to approve VAAP 22-166, Breton Bay Landing Homeowner Association.
Second.
Second. And any discussion on the motion? And the vote for it. Mr. Medinsky.
It's been seconded.
Yeah, okay. I'm not sure he read the right motion, though, at the end of it. But, yeah, I'm in favor of it. I
Aye.
just wasn't sure about that.
Aye.
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 The ayes have it. An order reflecting the board's decision will be prepared by staff and signed by the board within 60 days. A 30-day period follows from that date that the order is signed, which any aggrieved party may appeal the board's decision to the circuit court. The recording secretary will email you a copy of the order once it has been signed. Good presentation, good luck.
Thank you so much.
And Mr. Chair, just to clarify Mr. Medinsky's question, the motion that was intended and was made is what was included in the staff report.
Okay.
Correct.
All right,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Guys want to take a break? Want to take a break?
Give me just a minute.
Take a break?
No, I'm ready to go.
Let's roll.
Make sure it goes.
The next item we have on the agenda is the Bowles ZAAP 22-2229. The applicant is requesting a variance from the St. Mary's County Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance, Section 71.4.2, to disturb the 100-foot perennial stream buffer, and Section 71.5.2B, to disturb the expanded non-tidal wetland buffer for a replacement house. Ms. Clements.
Okay. I'm getting
You
the
have a
security
security
alert. Okay. The third public hearing tonight is variance application 22-2229, the Bowles property. They're requesting a variance from Section 71.4.2 to disturb the 100-foot perennial stream buffer, and from Section 71.5.2B to disturb the expanded non-tidal wetland buffer for a replacement house. The legal advertisement was printed on December 23rd and 30th, 2022 in the Southern Maryland News. Certified mailings were sent to adjacent property owners located within 200 feet of the project property, and public hearing signs were posted on or before December 28th, 2022. The owner of the property is James Bowles, and the property consists of 5.16 acres and currently has an existing home and several outbuildings. The property is located at 23051 Brown Road in Leonardtown. It is zoned in the Rural Preservation District, and the applicant is proposing to demolish an existing dwelling and replace it in another location. The site plan has stormwater management and soil conservation district approval, and it's currently under review with the health department. The applicant is proposing to demolish the existing home and replace it in another location. This slide depicts the impact to the 100-foot perennial stream buffer. And this is the impact to the non-tidal wetland buffer, which has been expanded up to 100 feet for hydric soils. Do we have any questions?
On the picture that I see there now, the purple dashed line is the expansion of the buffer?
Correct. Yes. That's the, here, let's see if I can get it. Yes. This is the expansion of the non-tidal wetland buffer to 100 feet to include the hydric soils.
Any questions from the board members?
No.
No, sir.
And I guess we will now hear from the applicant, or who will be representing the applicant. Could you state your name for the record?
Jeffrey Todd Neiman. I'm the professional land surveyor responsible for the site plan. I work for Linear Surveys Incorporated, and we are at 42120 St. Andrews Church Road in Leonardtown, Maryland.
Okay, if you would raise your right hand, please. Do you declare and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony and responses and statements you may give will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Well, thank you very much. Please begin.
I'd like to thank the board for taking time out of your lives to hear our petition this evening. The owner, Mr. Bowles, is present, and I'll get right to our PowerPoint right here.
Is it working for you?
Let me try the back. No?
No? Okay. Let's see if I can. It was giving, there we go. I can.
You're going to have to do it.
Yeah. Just let me know when.
As Stacy mentioned, there's an existing house on the property. It's in a state of ruin. The applicant would like to, well, the owner would like to demolish the home and replace it. And in order to move forward with this, we would require your approval on the two variances. So that's why we're here tonight. And also, I'm here tonight because I did not win the billion-dollar lottery.
Still have a chance.
Yeah, but I got my ticket for Friday, so we're covered. We are asking for a variance from the 100-foot perennial stream buffer and the expanded non-tidal wetland buffer, which is normally 25 feet. It needs to go up to 100 feet to include contiguous hydric soils. Go ahead, Stacy. I would only make mention here that this manufactured home was placed on the property in 1973. It's served by a septic tank, which is just a cinder block hole in the ground. No one knows where the sewage went. It went in, it went somewhere. And there's also a well that we're going to replace, which is apparently it's only about 6 feet deep. How it ever held water, I don't know. But we're abandoning the shallow well and drilling a new deep well. Stacy? So there we are, kind of getting an overview. You see Brown Road on the right. The existing dwelling address is on the house that we intend to demolish. The green area is the non-tidal wetland, and the blue shaded area is the hydric soils, which we need to expand those mapped wetlands up to 100 feet, which is really all the way to, includes these hydric soils. Stacy, go ahead. So give you the lay of the land. There we are on Browns Road, looking at Mr. Bowles' house, looking down his driveway, the posting of the property. You can see the house in the background there, starting to drop down the hill. Go ahead, next one. This is, as we approach the house, you're actually looking at the rear of the house. You can see the ground sloping off downhill to the west, or the south, actually, into that non-tidal wetland. And at the bottom of that non-tidal wetland is the perennial stream. Go ahead, next slide. As you drive down the driveway and work your way around the house, you're actually looking now at the front of the house. And you can kind of get a sense of the state of disrepair that this house is in. I understand the roof is collapsing in, the floors are collapsing in, and there's mold throughout. And it used to house chickens. So that's the house we intend to remove. Yeah, there you go. And not just the house, but that shed, we're going to remove that shed. And that septic tank is just visible in the, just in front of that shed. That's also going to be abandoned. Go ahead, Stacy.
Okay.
So there's the site plan. And Stacy, I believe we do have health department approval.
Have you?
Septic
Okay.
system. The septic system was designed by the health department. It'll be a sand mount system to replace this cinder block septic well, I guess you might call it. It's going to require a BNR pump chamber and a pump pit. And I hope that on our site plan you can see where the existing house in dashed lines is there, and where the new house location is, approximately on top of where the old house was, but on its northern end of things. That's good, Stacy. Next one. This is the house that Mr. Bowles proposes to replace with the old, which is significantly smaller footprint than the old house. Go ahead, next slide. Just to give you a visual idea of what's going on here, you can see the non-tidal wetlands in the bottom. You can see the perennial stream. That stream gets its 100-foot buffer, which just barely clips the existing impervious surface, which is going to be removed for 31 square feet to be removed from the stream buffer. The non-tidal wetland expands, the buffer expands all the way up to the hydric soil line. So that is the line you see on the north, right? And again, we're showing the impervious surface that will be removed from that buffer is 2,166 square feet. That'll do. Next slide. Yep. And this is what we intend to put in its place. Our stream buffer now has no impervious surface impact, and the expanded, the impervious surface inside of the expanded wetland buffer is now 1,412 square feet. So we're going to reduce, which is a reduction of 754 square feet in this buffer, or 35% less impervious surface. Go ahead, Stacy. Okay, there you go. This slide is now showing the limits of disturbance we propose. And what you're seeing is for limits of disturbance, for the amount of earth we've got to disturb to build this, we're proposing 219 square feet of stream buffer disturbance and 4,627 square feet of expanded wetland buffer disturbance. The vast, the majority of that, of course, will be stabilized. And on your site plan, you actually see that LOD as being wrapped around with smart fence, which is basically a silt fence on steroids. So we're certainly going to be preventing any sediments from getting down into those environmentally sensitive features. That's the end of the slides?
Yes,
And
sir.
that's the end of my presentation. So we'd ask the board to,
Board members.
Sir, one
Yes, sir.
question. Did I hear you correctly that the new house would have a smaller footprint than the original?
Yes, that's correct. It'll have a 38% decrease in impervious surface from what was there before.
Thank you very much.
Is there any plan to pave the drive down to the road? Gravel,
No, we have-
do anything to that?
We have no plans on doing anything to the gravel driveway.
Okay.
It's going to stay in place. And we've already pushed the house kind of as far as we dare go into the driveway without jeopardizing parking room.
You're going to abandon the well and abandon the sewer system and put in a drilled well
Yes, ma'am.
and a mound system?
Yes, correct.
Where's the mound system going to be?
Do you have your site plan there? Or at least pull it up? It's way to the right, way to the east, right close to Browns Road. But it's totally outside of any of these environmentally sensitive areas. It's not impacted.
It's not impacting,
It has no impact on any environmental features.
okay.
And the well will have a dewatering basin, once again, to help filter sediments before they get down into the wetland.
Okay, I didn't see that when I looked.
And wrapped around with smart fence.
I'd like to see that smart fence.
Well, it's on the site plan, little detail there.
I mean,
But it takes place of chain link fencing and regular silt fence with chain link fencing, basically. So now it's going to be T-bar irons and a more heavy-duty woven fabric.
how deep is that slope that was on the west side of the house?
How deep is the slope?
How much is the slope? Down to the?
Well, there's no steep slopes, even up to 15%, but
Yeah, right there.
you basically have a 2, 4, you have about a 6-foot drop, 2, 4, 6-foot drop from the house to the bottom of the hill. Yeah, about a 6-foot drop from where the house is now to the bottom of the wetland.
Any other questions from board members? In that case, I'll open it up to public hearing. Does anybody want to speak for or against this project? Mr. Bowles wants to speak?
I just want to know where the chicken coop's going to be.
In that case,
Yeah.
in that case, I'll close it to public testimony and open it up to board discussion. Any comments, concerns?
I think it's a great idea.
I do too.
Yeah, I like it.
I think we then, sounds like we need a motion.
Have been met. I move to approve the variance request from section 71.4.2 to disturb the 100-foot perennial stream buffer and section 71.5.2B to disturb the expanded non-tidal wetland buffer for a replacement house.
I have a
Second.
motion, is there a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor, Mr. Brown?
Aye.
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 An order reflecting the board's decision will be prepared by staff and signed by the board within 60 days. A 30-day period follows from the date the order is signed, during which any aggrieved party may appeal the board's decision to the circuit court. Recording secretary will email you a copy of the order once it has been signed. Congratulations, good job.
Good luck.
Thank you,
Good
board.
luck. The next item on the agenda is the Taylor ZAAP 222139. The applicant is requesting a variance from the St. Mary's County Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance, Section 71.8.3, to disturb the critical area for a replacement shed. Stacy?
Okay. Okay, our final public hearing tonight is variance application 22-2139, the Taylor property. The applicant is requesting a variance from St. Mary's Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance, Section 71.8.3, to disturb the critical area buffer for a replacement shed. The legal advertisement was printed on December 23rd and 30th, 2022 in the Southern Maryland News. Certified mailings were sent to the adjacent property owners located within 200 feet of the project property, and a public hearing sign was posted on the property on or before December 28, 2022. The owner of the property is Karen Taylor, and the property consists of 1.97 acres. It currently has an existing home with 2 sheds and a pool. The applicant is proposing to construct an 8-by-12 replacement shed located in the 100-foot critical area buffer. The site plan is exempt from stormwater management requirements since the site proposes less than 5,000 square feet of disturbance. And the Critical Area Commission responded to the applicant's request in their letter dated October 25th, 2022, by stating the applicant has the opportunity to relocate the shed entirely outside of the buffer. The property is located at 24620 Half Pone Point Road in Hollywood. It is zoned Rural Preservation District, and the critical area overlay is limited development area. The applicant is proposing to construct a 8-by-12 replacement shed located within the critical area buffer. It is adjacent to the current existing pier, and they would like to replace this shed right here. Okay, do we have any, hold on, let's do some mitigation. The critical area mitigation be required at a ratio of 3-to-1 for permanent disturbance within the buffer, and additionally 1-to-1 mitigation for the temporary disturbance. The applicant will be required to provide 576 square feet of mitigation for the proposed project. An approved buffer management plan will be required by staff prior to the issuance of a building permit. Okay, now, do we have any questions from the board?
We're disturbing 98 square feet?
Yeah, 8-by-12, yep, 98.
And we're going to replace that with 576 square feet of planting?
Yes.
The question was asked of Mr. Hunt a couple of meetings ago, why is something so relatively trivial coming before the Board of Appeals? And the answer was it was the law. My question to, my follow-up question to that would be, which law? Is it the county zoning ordinance, or is the state critical area law? Taking it easy on the...
The answer to that, Chairman Igniowski, is that it is both. The COMAR states that any disturbance in the critical area buffer, roughly any disturbance, cannot be approved absent a variance from the local Board of Appeals, no matter how small or minor we all might consider it. We then dutifully incorporate similar language in our comprehensive zoning ordinance as state law requires us to do.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for asking.
Yeah.
Thanks for asking.
Where did I leave off? Any other questions from the board members?
No.
No, I'm very happy. It's going from 116 square feet to 96 square feet, so it's smaller than the old one. It should be grandfathered in.
Talk to your delegate and senator. May not be a bad idea.
We got public testimony and all that, right, or not?
Pardon me?
We're going to do public testimony.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
gotta
anybody
follow.
want to speak for or against this
Excuse me.
project?
Excuse me, Chairman, can we have the applicant give their
Okay, can we
presentation?
have the applicant come up?
Follow the procedure.
There we go. I knew we were missing something.
I knew it.
Too busy with our rant.
Yes. For the record, would you state your name?
It's Karen N. Taylor, 24620 Half Moon Point.
Mark Berman, 2742 West Vina Del Mar, St. Pete Beach, Florida.
Would you please raise your right hand? And do you declare and affirm under the penalty of perjury that the testimony, responses, and statements you may give will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Thank you. Please have a seat and go ahead.
Okay.
So like they said, we have an old shed. You know, we thought it was like 40, 50 years old, but I think it's more like 50, 60 years old. And it houses the electric for our pier. It houses life jackets, a ring, a safety ring for the pier, and other stuff for the pier. We don't want to move it because currently, like you guys said, there's already a clearing. There's already the cinder blocks for it. We just want to get rid of it. It's a safety hazard, and we just want to replace it with something new. If we move it on the other side of the property, it's going to be really far from the pier, and we'd have to take down a bunch of trees. I don't want to do that. We just want to replace what's there.
You say there's electric service to
Yes,
the
sir.
building now and then to the pier?
Yes, sir.
There's a sub-panel inside the shed for just the pier.
But that all would have to be
It would
relocated?
all have to be,
Don?
moved.
We'd have to, if we had to move the shed, we'd have to move all of that.
Okay. Any other questions of the board members?
So if there's electrical service there, if you do tear the shed down and then build a new one, are you gonna have to get new permits to do that?
It's a whole little box. I mean, I can assume, and maybe you can help me with that. I thought it was just going to go around it, but is it not?
It's a 100 amp sub-panel, so all we do is just pull it off the wall of the shed and then just right back to the new.
Well, we had a case tonight where some owners assumed and wound up before us with not all the data, so.
So it'll be a separate electrical permit.
I mean, we can get a
that our
separate
electrician will pull.
Yeah.
Okay. So you've got somebody with permits doing
Oh,
it?
absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, gosh.
All right.
That property has a zillion permits on it.
All right.
So it's cinder block now?
Little baby cinder blocks, yes.
Little bit.
And what are you going to replace it with?
It's just a yellow-sided shed. One
You mean the
that-
shed or the cinder blocks?
The wood?
Just a regular shed.
You're just going to build a wooden shed?
This is when we bought it from
The Amish.
and it's a cute little shed, just got a double door in it so that,
It's already on,
No,
it'll be.
No.
They'll just put it on what's there.
It
Already
is not
built.
on our property.
right.
No, we don't have it yet. The shed or the blocks?
The blocks
The
are
blocks are
already
there.
there.
Correct.
So you're going to remove the wooden part,
Yes.
Yes.
And then
those
put the new
there, and then
right
put
on
something
top
else
of
on
the old
top of
ones.
those?
Yes.
Okay.
You might have to adjust the blocks a little bit, but
Wiggle it a little bit.
we'll get it a little bit.
Any other questions of the board members? Therefore, I guess I will open it up for further board discussion and close the public testimony. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Anybody want to speak for or against the project? Okay, then I will close it to public testimony, open it up to board discussion.
It's
I'm
one of the
good.
few ones we've had where the critical area commission is actually against it. They want to move it out of the, completely. Myself personally, I think it'd do more harm than good moving it.
I do too.
I totally agree. You're right. They should be grandfathered in.
So I'm in favor of it.
Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. In the matter of Taylor VAAP number 222139, having found that the standards for granting a variance have been met, I move to approve the variance request from section 71.8.3 to disturb the 100-foot critical area buffer for a replacement shed.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
So,
Thank
All
you.
those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
So
An order
what-
reflecting the board's decision will
Get
be
the question.
prepared.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. Do I still have to plant like 500 square feet of trees? Do I still have to do that?
Yep.
We'll have to
Yes.
meet mitigation.
Yes.
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure.
That's the easy part.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.
The board's decision will be prepared by staff, signed by the board within 60 days.
No, I was going to say, listen, he's still talking.
Oh, sorry.
I thought you were.
A 30-day period follows from that date that the order is signed, during which any aggrieved party may appeal the board's decision to the circuit court. The recording secretary will email you a copy of the order once it has been signed. Good presentation and good luck.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much for your time.
Regular business, we have the Board of Appeals minutes from December 8th, 2022. Are there any changes or additions or subtractions to those minutes?
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Then we have 3 sets of orders to review and approve. The first one is Gungto order, and do the board members have any questions on that?
No, sir.
And then that case was to disturb the critical area buffer to construct a house with a driveway.
I'll make a motion, to sign the order.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The next item is the Flurry property. And again, that was a request to disturb the non-tidal wetland buffer to construct a garage, and that was over in St. Clements Woods, St. Clements Shores.
Right.
Make a motion.
To sign the order?
Yep.
Sign the order.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the third item is the Ferber property, and that was a request to reduce the 10-foot setback to 5 feet between the replacement house and an existing shed. And from section 41.7.4, for a new accessory structure to be closer to the water than the principal structure on the property.
That was down St. George's Island. I made him move the shed to the other side, and made him move the,
Right.
yeah, okay, we got it. I'm signing the order.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Does anybody have anything good for the cause? I've got several things. First of all, there will be a volunteer appreciation presentation at the county commissioners meeting. And does anybody remember, the staff have any of the dates? I think we all got emails on it from
Yes,
the
it's
county
the
attorneys.
last Tuesday of the month.
Okay, so it's the last Tuesday. of the
Last
month.
Tuesday.
So if anybody wants to go to that, please feel free to go. I think it's 8:30 in the morning.
I've already told Ms. Kushner I'll be there.
Okay.
I can't be. I got to work.
Second thing as a reminder is everybody should have gotten their request for the Ethics Commission form to fill out. And so you all should have that in your email
Already
also.
turned in.
Okay. And then the last item, I guess, that I have, next to the last item, is I'd like to well-wish Mr. Hunt, and I think this will be his last meeting here. He will be retirement, and I hope he has an enjoyable retirement in Minnesota. Minnesota? Can I say that? Okay, I won't say that.
Minnesota.
Don't forget you're under oath.
Thank you for the recognition.
Okay. But again, Bill and I have had many, many hours together in a meeting room and discussing various items, and he's always been very professional about that. And I thank him for his years of service to St. Mary's County residents and property owners.
Yep, thank you.
The next meeting we have will be February 9th. We have 3 items on that agenda.
That is correct. One is a setback variance for a garage, the Booth property. There's another Whittles. It's a variance to disturb the critical area for a replacement pool. And then Aldridge is a variance for a setback as well. side yard setback for an accessory structure.
Okay, anybody else have anything good for the good of the cause?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Very good. Thank you all very much.